Thank you. Can I tell you how excited I am to be with you today? I want to thank Dave Sterling. It's good to have him home. He's somebody that I've loved and respected for a long period of time, and look forward to continue association with him and each one of my partners. I have to give a caveat before I speak to you today. And I'm going to give a caveat because of an experience I had a couple of days ago as my presentation went to our legal department. And they said, well, Dr. Hill, we need to have a conversation about your presentations. And I said, yeah, I would love to. And they go, so let's start with slide number 2. I'm going to speak very bold today. In the end, they very kindly said, you're not going to change anything, are you? And I said, no. And the surprise for them is that I'm going to share more than what they know. I feel that in doTERRA we have done amazing things. We've been bold now for a long period of time. Dave and Emily both shared with you some of the early history in doTERRA and the value that it has brought to people. We literally have, as Dave said, been changing the world one drop, one person at a time. There's always outward showings of that we can point to and talk about how we lift communities and we change environments. But the work that we do somehow feels to me like it's deeply personal. One of the things that I have appreciated about our efforts in doTERRA is the good that we have done consistently. Without hesitation, without interruption, even when we have faced challenging and difficult times, there has been a migration of essential oils for them to come into their rightful place. It's interesting to me that in 2008, essential oils had a purpose, and the generalized purpose that was associated with it is that they were positioned as good aromatherapy additives. In 2025, we see something very different. They're a part of an innovated and an expectation for health and wellness, and have moved well beyond the confines of where they once originally stood. I'm glad some of you are excited about that. Wait, there's more. In 2008, there was some acceptance of the essential oil, but there was a lot of hesitancy as well. And the hesitancy was focused in the idea that there was not a lot of evidence. The scientific and the medical communities were uneasy with essential oils, claiming that there was nothing to validate their use and they were anecdotal. Here we are now in 2025, and there's a growing use of essential oils as evidence-based therapies in hospitals, direct with patient care, with doctors and physicians around the world. Do you recognize that this is what you have participated in for all of these years? The change that we're creating in the world is dynamic, and it now needs to move forward. And so this morning I pose a simple question: that what does it mean to actually be healthy? What does it mean to have health, and how do we define that? Certainly that carries with it a lot of individual disposition based on our experience, based on our knowledge, and based on the outcomes and the expectations that we have for ourselves. This is one of the most powerful dynamics that exists within doTERRA, that we can be involved in the process of our health. And the time for what you and I know is now more prevalent than it ever has been in the history of the world. I'm going to talk with you. Originally, this said chronic disease, and they said, well, you really can't put disease on your slide, so it's okay, I'll just talk about it. Chronic disease. We are facing this in epidemic proportions, not just here in the United States, but throughout the world. And what I mean by chronic disease is I'm not talking about communicable diseases. We're not talking about infectious disease. We're talking about things like diabetes and arthritis, heart issues, cancer. It's rampant. I'm just curious if you yourself or if somebody that you know has one of those conditions, would you please just stand up? Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, arthritis. Look around the room. We're all standing. If it's not us ourselves, then it's somebody that we know. And if you don't know anybody that way, you will, because statistically what we know is that the morbidity of that in 2006, 17% of the population, or 34 million people here in the United States, had some type of a chronic illness in this regard. In 2024, 129 million, nearly half of the population. What's even more startling when we look at that is that 42% of all Americans who fit into that category have 2 or more chronic conditions. I just don't have cancer, I have cancer and I have heart disease, or fill in the blank. And for those of you who are visiting with us from outside of the United States, don't feel bad. 70% of the world's deaths are attributed to chronic disease. Don't tell me for a moment that essential oils are not valuable. Don't tell me for a moment that we do not need to share what we know. Don't tell me that oils are tired. I sometimes hear this conversation and it bothers me to my core that we need to find the next big thing. I wonder what that will be. I don't know of anything that would surpass what we have accomplished and what we will yet accomplish with the essential oils. Are you with me? There's a simpleness and a beauty in the essential oils. One of the things I've admired for a long period of time is that you yourselves, me, myself, I think about when I got started with essential oils, and Emily shared her experience with peppermint. I had similar experiences where, in spite of all that I knew as a physician, everything that I knew about the human body and chemistry did not apply to any of my knowledge of essential oils. And yet I use them with great power and strength in my own home. And you have done exactly the same thing. When somebody tells you that you are not qualified somehow to talk about essential oils, walk away and go do your good work anyway. There's power in the simplicity of our message, and there's power in the value of essential oils. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine by the name of Lindsay. I met Lindsay when I was in Prague in 2016. I had been speaking at a convention and I came off stage, and as I came off, Lindsay was in the background. And Jordan at that time said, would you talk to her? And so I did. I spent some time with her. I shared with her some simple things that she could do that would focus around essential oils, that would focus around good, healthy nutrition, and gave her hope that perhaps she could change the outcomes of her life. In 2013, with the birth of her second child, Lindsay began to suffer from a devastating illness and now found herself in a wheelchair where she could not really carry out the daily activities and the things that she would like to do. Lindsay sent me a note recently, and this is what she said. For me, doTERRA is about hope, wholeness, and being given back to my family. I'm deeply grateful for the blessings these products have brought into my life. And how is Lindsay doing today? She's had a third child and is living her life. She came into my office not too long ago, and I had not seen her for a while. And as you can imagine, I meet, I don't even know how many people. And as she walked into my office, she said, do you remember me? And I said, you look vaguely familiar. In my mind, the alarm bells are going off. Security, security, somebody come quick. And she goes, the last time you saw me, I was in a wheelchair. And I said, I do know you. And we reacquainted ourselves. What I love about this story is that I actually did nothing for Lindsay. She did it herself. Just like you and I on a daily basis as we reach out and as we help other people. This is Diane. Diane was you can see why legal was not happy with me. Diane was in a motorcycle accident. And when Diane returned home, she thought to herself, I'm going to use what I know about the essential oils to try to help myself. And so she made literally just a spritz of frankincense, myrrh, and lavender, and she would spray it on her face every single day. This is where she began on day 1. On day 3, you can see the progress that was being made. On day 6, substantially better. And on day 10, something miraculous. These experiences are not unique. These are everyday experiences in doTERRA, and they bring with it great opportunity. Now, we should be asking ourselves, not in the disruptive way of what does it mean to be healthy, but we should be asking ourselves, so how can I become healthy? How can I stay healthy and have resilience and the capability that I need? And that is the whole purpose and the function behind what we have been talking about, which is foundational wellness.